I apologise because you were the next person that I'd seen, but the signal that I shared with His Royal Highness is genuine. It is a cross-cultural and a cross-philosophical and even a cross-religious belief that when lunch beckons, unless lunch is met, all classes, cultures, genders and belief sets become hungry. And therefore, I do have to end this session now, but I want to underline that was a really great start. I'm terribly grateful. Please join me in thanking this superb panel for their speeches earlier, but also their open and thoughtful answers to your questions. Thank you very much indeed. Secondly, there will be at least 3 other occasions where there will be similar panels, and again, your questions will be the priority. And I'm just, as my good friends leave the stage, please do, and resume to your seat. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. President. Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you very much.
Your Royal Highness.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just before you go, no, please, just before you go, I have 2 more quick things to do. You should, no, please you. You should all have voting pads on your seats. If you could just give me 2 more minutes. We have a question that we want to put to you. And if you look at your voting pads, there's a picture of it there. I've got one here. Do you have one? No, not yet, but it'll be there in a moment. The question is this: is the Arab voice more clearly heard and understood than it was a year ago when we last met in the Jeddah Economic Forum? Is the Arab voice more clearly heard and understood than it was a year ago? If you believe that that is true, then please press number 1 on your voting pad. And if you don't believe that to be true, then press number 2. And there's a little green light at the top left-hand part of the handset. When that is glowing, you may vote. So please consider the question: is the Arab voice more clearly heard and understood than it was a year ago? Yes, number 1. No, number 2. And would you please vote now? And there are the results. 42.6% of you believe that, yes, that voice is more clearly understood than a year ago, but 57% believe that, no, we still have much work to go. Now, finally, before you go, I've got one brief exercise. I want to play you a video which will take you back to that magnificent musical display that you so enjoyed last night here in this very room. And then I'm going to ask 2 people to join me on the stage and just put 2 brief questions to them. But first, let me remind you of the pleasures of last night and our gala entertainment. Do we have the video? Okay, we're not getting the video, but joining me now on stage are the conductor. You'll remember him from last night. Where is the conductor? Here he comes. Trick Soyou. The composer, who also stood here and beat the drum so magnificently, Hugh de Courson. And also Ahmed El Maghrabi, is that right? I apologize if it's wrong. From the Egyptian Center for Culture and Art. And the best singer I've ever heard. And Patrick is the conductor. Remember, last night you only saw this, but now you see this. I want to, it's going to be easier if you just sit down, because those microphones will work. It doesn't matter where you sit, just make yourself comfortable. You composed it.
With the help of Mozart. Yes, doesn't work. Hello. Oh, yes. With the help of Mozart, I recreated the music based on Mozart compositions.
Now, this is the point that really matters in the context of this conference. You're a great musician and a great composer. These are businessmen and women and political leaders, and as you've seen already, governmental leaders as well. In blending Mozart from Europe Europe and from Austria and from Germany, with the wonderful music that we so enjoyed from this part of the world, were there deeper lessons of collaboration, of joint venture to even greater value?
Yes, the fact is that I'm more interested in what people have in common than people have different. For example, in the world of shepherds, in every word they play some music which is very similar, although they didn't met. So music is one of the things. There are other things in common. We have all arms and legs, but music is a fantastic way of communicating with people where you don't know the language, you don't have the same culture. So the work was based on trying to find the common points instead of showing the differences.
And it worked, which is extraordinary.
And it worked. It works because everybody, although sometimes there are some misunderstandings in the beginning, the common will is to play music together, and it comes very, very quickly in general.
A lot of these people, as I said also, are political leaders, business people. They have to manage. They have to make countries work, regions work, enterprises and banks work. You had to make a disparate group of people playing different instruments from different cultures, different languages, all together as a conductor. That is leadership. Is it something in the soul, in the spirit, in the intellect? What lessons in leadership do you gain from conducting such a varied group of talents?
The good way it's to have the same project, in fact. If everybody sings at the same thing at the same moment, it's so easy. So my job at this moment is to make that everybody think at this moment to Mozart, to the music, to the show, and to have the same project, the same objective.
Yeah. And what were the problems? What were the problems? Did you have to clip any ears?
No, in fact, there is no problem. There is only technical problem. But it's a job with authority and love. Never forget love, in fact.
Love is crucial because love is one of those things that crosses boundaries. And you, as I said, you run the Egyptian Center for Culture and Art. How significant in the context of this gathering of people did you feel, as an academic and a thinker, that manifestation was?
May I talk in English? In Arabic, please? في الواقع أن هذه مناسبة جيدة جدا، وخاصة عندما نتحدث عن التحديات وعن صعوبات هذا الموضوع وعن كيف نطرح هذه الأفكار. في عجالة سريعة يقول البعض أو تنتشر فكرة أن الجمهور وأن الشباب يريد أن يستمع إلى شيء ما، يريد أن يستمع للمينستريم ميديا، لا يرغب في الاستماع إلى الموسيقى الكلاسيكية. فمن أول التحديات كيف نستطيع أن نعرض هذه الموسيقى على مستوى عريض وقاعدة عريضة من الناس. وأنا أعتقد أن التجربة، سواء التجربة القديمة لمزار المصري مثلا أو التجربة التي تم تنفيذها بالأمس، هي نموذج جيد جدا لكيفية أن نطرح هذه الأفكار بشجاعة وأن نفرضها على الناس، وأن لا ندعي أن الجمهور يريد هذا أو يريد ذاك. لا، الجمهور حتى من الشباب يستمتع.
And finally, I'm going to ask you a favor, because I'm afraid I don't speak Arabic, but would you please ask Abdullah whether he felt his Arab art was in any way compromised by being conducted by a Frenchman and playing European instruments alongside his beautiful Arab voice? This will just take a moment or two.
ممكن يطرح من خلال مثلا قائد اوركسترا فرنسي او
بالطبع كانت تعاملنا مع الاوركسترا الاخينا فرنسي كانت يعني بصراحه في غايه الاهميه، لانه انسان كان متواضع معنا فعلا قدرنا على ان نربط الناحيه الموسيقيه الغربيه بالناحيه الموسيقيه الشرقيه. فطبعا هناك لم يكن أي صعوبة في التعامل، حيث أن هناك المقامات لا تختلف عن أدائها في أن ممكن بأكون بأدي أي نغم من الأنغام، وحيث مسمياتها ما تختلف إلا بحسب اللغات اللي هي موجودة، إن كانت لغة فرنسية أو إنجليزية أو أي لغة من اللغات.
Well, may I just say to all of you, on behalf of all of us and those who've had to go to other sessions, it was a joy to behold, and thank you so very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, a remarkable group of people who provided us with a remarkable entertainment last night. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. I now invite you to enjoy your networking lunch, and I invite you to return here at 2 o'clock. Thank you very much indeed.
Good afternoon, everybody. If I can have you go ahead and take a seat. We are getting ready to start in about 30 seconds. Your Excellencies, good afternoon, and a special thanks to our hosts, Sami Badrawi and Salih Al-Turki, the respective chairmen of the Jeddah Economic Forum and the Jeddah Chamber of Commerce and Industry. A couple of weeks ago, in my column for CNN's Marketplace Middle East, I wrote about the development of the field of dreams, the city centers and commerce hubs sprouting up throughout the region, not just the Gulf, but the greater Middle East. In case you don't recall, The Field of Dreams was a 1992 movie starring Kevin Costner where a farmer was inspired to build a baseball diamond in the middle of an Iowa cornfield. Now, before I go any further, I should clarify a few things here. It was a way too much honey type of movie. It was basically too sweet, a little bit too much Hollywood, but nevertheless, apropos for our discussion this afternoon, especially if one looks at the scale of the undertaking in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia today. I don't know if you recall the line. It was, "Build it and they will come," was the voice inside Kevin Costner's character. Build it, and the characters from the 1920s, the baseball players from the 1920s would reappear, not dissimilar to the undertaking in the region and the rebuilding of the fabled Silk Route going back 2 millennia from where we stand in Jeddah today to Shanghai. But as we know from the movie, the journey was not in building the baseball diamond itself, as it is not here about constructing castles in the sand. It's about getting the project done and creating differences in our community. Instead, it's about developing communities and building the foundations for education, building foundations for trade, building foundations for development, and not least, building foundations for future training of the future generations. It is a tall order, needless to say, requiring dreamlike inspirations, but is being undertaken on a grand scale. If I can have everybody go ahead and take a final seat, and we'll move on with the program. In my role as financial and political journalist for the past 2 decades, I've been incredibly fortunate to be a witness on the ground to history. The fall of the Berlin Wall, creation of a single market and the single currency in Europe, covering Dubai, for example, when the Sheikh Zayed Road was just a shadow of its current self, and certainly the creation of the World Trade Organization, an institution where Saudi Arabia is one of its newer members. In my current role as host of Marketplace Middle East, I come into the region twice a month to report, interview business and government leaders, and write